About 5 years ago, this is what I looked like. I was right on the line of being obese, and I had been this way basically my entire life. My life at this point was basically entirely sedentary, and I overate, I overdrank soda, just all the bad things that led to my body getting this way. Then one day I decided that it was time for me to actually start caring about my health. If I remember correctly, that was the day I stepped on the scale and it read 260 pounds. I was normally around 250 pounds, but the day I read 260 was the day I realized that I had finally become obese. And I knew for certain that in that moment that I had to change. So I took the steps necessary in order to make changes. And at first, it was honestly really easy. I basically just swapped the bad snacks, like an entire family pack size of Oreos and chips and whatnot, for fruit. I've always loved fruit, so it was really easy for me to start eating more fruit. Significant thing was cutting down on soda. Sorry. I went cold turkey on it for about 3 months, and this really helps with not only cravings, but cutting down on the amount of liquid calories that you have. I was drinking about 4 bottles of Mountain Dew a day, which was about 800 calories. And now most of those drinks aren't even that appealing to me anymore because the amount of sugar is so intense. For example, Mountain Dew. It feels I can feel the sugar in it when I drink. It's that like thick. It feels thick. I don't know how else to describe it. It's unpleasant to drink. It was at this point in my life when I actually changed the trajectory of my life. Instead of going to college, I dropped out and instead started working at a factory. And honestly, standing for 8 hours a day, 6 days a week, I think that really helped too because like I said before, I was sedentary most of the time. Going from that to what I was doing at the time, that was a significant change, and I think that might have helped too. So, cutting down the amount of soda that I drank, swapping out the snacks for fruit and other healthy things, as well as a career change. These three things helped me lose part of my weight. I think it was about 60 pounds, if I remember correctly. Honestly, I lost that pretty much effortlessly when I decided to actually kind of lock in, as you will, and start actually caring about what it was that I was, eating. I mean, obviously, I was caring before, but like even more so, like tracking calories and whatnot. I weighed about 200 pounds. So I basically cut down on the amount of weight I had effortlessly in 6 months. Then I decided to see if I could push myself to actually lose 40 more pounds so that I could say that I had lost 100 pounds. Something you don't realize until you actually start on this journey is that it's more of a mental game than anything, really. The cravings you get from the bad foods, the soda, sitting around all day. You want to do these things because it's what your body's used to. And you have to tell your mind not to do these things. That's the hard part about all of this, honestly. Just telling your brain to change. It's a mindset shift. That's the hard part. Anyway, back on topic. I decided that I actually wanted to track my calories to a T because I didn't really know anything about calories or macros or anything like that, really. So I decided to use MyFitnessPal. You can use whatever you want. Some people like Chronometer, some people like MacroFactor, people who are sponsored like MacroFactor. And I just tracked my calories, basically. That's all I did. And it really exposed me to just how much I was eating. It was a lot. I think it was around 2,500 calories total. So what I did was I took that 2,500 and I subtracted 500 calories from that. And then I aimed to eat that 2,000 calories every single day. This is called a calorie deficit because you're eating less than what your body needs to maintain, or what it's used to, I guess. They say that abs are made in the kitchen, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you should skip on the gym. I did. Don't do what I did. You want to do at least some form of weight training, like maybe even twice a week. The reason you want to do this is because when you're in a calorie deficit, your body doesn't know to lose just fat. So it loses everything all at once. When you weight train, you're telling your body that you still use that muscle and it's still builds it up slightly. If you haven't been working out or in the gym in a long time, you actually might gain muscle. There's this thing called newbie gains, where basically you just gain muscle a lot faster because your body isn't used to working out. So it yeah. Something else that really helped was walking. I aim to walk 14,000 steps every single day, but even just 10,000 a day is significant because for me, for my height and my body weight, I think 10,000 steps burns about 450 calories. It's not the 3,000 calories that you might be eating, but every little bit helps. And there are also several other benefits of walking too that I won't get into because I can't think of them off the top of my head apart from, you burn calories. And also it's a decent, albeit slow, form of cardio. For some reason in the health space, supplements is something that a lot of people like to talk about. I don't really know why because most of them are basically useless. The only one that I took for a while was creatine. I still do take it. To put it really simply, creatine fills your muscles with water. That's the really most basic way of putting it. That helps build muscle too. So that's the reason why I take it. Something else that I do take is whey protein. If you can't hit your protein target, I think it's not a bad option. You should always strive to eat whole foods, the protein in whole foods first and foremost. But if you can't reach your protein goal, then you might as well just use it. Something else I forgot to mention earlier, I didn't track macros until like a month ago. Throughout my entire weight loss journey, I did not track a single macro because at the time, I thought it was too complicated and too stupid. So I just decided, you know what, I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to track calories. I mean, it worked, I guess, but I might have lost some muscle. Maybe. I'll end this video with a few tips and tricks that you might find useful. Get your sleep, 8 hours a day, bare minimum. I mean, you feel the effects when you don't get enough sleep. And if you don't feel it mentally, your body feels it physically. You don't perform in everyday life nearly as efficiently. You actually burn calories when you sleep. So use that to your advantage. Something that a lot of people like to talk about is cold showers, and I have been taking them basically every day for like 30 seconds for well over a year. And I can honestly say I don't think it helps with losing weight. It's a decent discipline builder, but that's about it. If you're lacking in discipline, like severely lacking in discipline, you could try it, but I don't really know, apart from maybe it helped strengthen my immune system. Maybe. Apart from that, I don't really know if there are any benefits. I want to end this video by saying that, as I mentioned before, this is more of a mental game than anything, really. So you need to take this one day at a time. I don't really recommend stepping on the scale every single day because your weight fluctuates. And when you see, for example, if you weigh 200 pounds one day, 205 the next day, 202 the next day, you won't think that you're making progress. As long as you're sticking with your calorie goals, you are making progress despite what the scale says. The scale likes to lie. If you feel like cheating on one day, just stick with it. Try not to cheat when you can, but when you do cheat on your diet, don't beat yourself up over it. Understand what you did, understand why you did it, and then move on. Try to avoid it as much as you can, but don't beat yourself up over it because it's just going to make you spiral again. I will say the benefits of losing all this weight have been overwhelming. Clothes fit. I can breathe properly. I don't get heart palpitations like twice a week. My confidence, I have some confidence. Whole food, tastes better than what it did when I was eating junk food all the time. But yeah, the benefits are overwhelming. There's no reason not to do it. Seriously, none. The only thing you have to do is just get started and make it really easy on yourself. That's the key to sticking with it. You have to make it really easy on yourself. That's it. Put an explosion.